Our lesson today is a brand new one, and it's titled, A Meal for Sharing. Bread is not only something to be consumed, it is a means of sharing. Surprisingly, the account of the multiplication of the loaves does not mention the multiplication itself. On the contrary, the words that stand out are break, give, and distribute. In effect, the emphasis is not on the multiplication, but on the act of sharing. This is important. Jesus does not perform a magic trick. He does not change the 5 loaves into 5,000 and then announce, "There, distribute them." No. Jesus first prays. Then he blesses the 5 loaves and breaks each of the 5 loaves apart, trusting in the Father. And those 5 loaves never run out. He does not multiply each of the loaves. The loaves themselves multiply as they are distributed. The Father does this. Jesus does not perform a magic trick. There is no magic trick. It is an act of trust in God and His providence. In the world, we are always trying to increase our profits, to raise our income. But why? It is to give. Or I should say, is it to give? Or is it to have? Is it to share or to accumulate? The economy of the gospel multiplies through sharing, nourishes through distributing. It does not sate the greed of a few, but gives life to the world. The verb Jesus uses is not the have, but to give. When you think back to when we do the Gospel of the Widow and the lesson of charitable giving, and how those who give of themselves, the poor, and how they give 24% of their total income. And I do the math and tell you what would happen if the rich of this country, one, paid taxes. Oh, what a novel concept. But if the rich of the United States and then the rich of the world paid 24% of their net, first gross, then net, we would be able to end hunger in the world, because they would then be giving and we would be able to distribute. There would be no shortage of vaccines anywhere in the world right now. Every single person in the world would have their vaccine ready for them, if not already distributed. Because even with the graph, even with all of the evil and wicked people in those countries, those people who are so far down, they live on $2 a month, they would have already received their vaccines. Because the rich would have given their portion. Imagine, if you can, a world where the rich pay 24% of their net after they have paid the required 17% of gross from their company's gross. And then they have to pay their individual gross on all income. Even those dollars, those marks, those pounds, those shekels, those lira, those kroner, in the banks in Switzerland, in the banks in the Grand Cayman. All funds are taxable, and there's an extra tax for all funds you've squirreled away. There would be a 25% extra tax on those funds, just for being a squirrel. I think that there should be a roadkill tax for everyone who puts funds aside, like a squirrel. Don't you? Or if not like a squirrel, then maybe like a raccoon, like a chipmunk, like a possum, like a hedgehog. That'll fit for my followers in England. Hedgehog will fit. For those in India, now that's Australia. I can't think of a really good animal in India per se. You write to me, Rob, drop me a note. Tell me what the animal should be for India. Because my Australians are already laughing and saying, wallaby, 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 or wombat. Because they're the ones who will be wallabies or wombats. Because kangaroos don't burrow, and neither do koalas. But I know wallabies and wombats do. But those, each country, each area, each continent has their animals, has their little things that burrow and hide things. Here in the United States, it's squirrels, a little grey animal with a fluffy tail, raccoons, big fat stupid animal, especially the teenage males. They've got blacked out eyes like this, and they've got a great big fluffy tail too, but they've got rings around it. But those animals, they're very secretive, just like the wealthy of the world. They hide everything thinking, oh, nobody will find it here. And then they come back 6 months later in the dead of winter, and they find that somebody else has already taken their stash. But they've got 40 or 50 of these stashes. Just like the wealthy will hide their money in 15 different banks, thinking, oh, they won't ever think of this. You want to bet. But it's not worth our time usually. If you only put $1 million in each bank account, that's not worth our time. You have to have at least $7.5 million in one account for it to be worth chasing. That's just economic sense. But think of that, and think of those words: give, distribute, and share. In regards to the wealthy, and how the poor do those things, and yet the wealthy won't. They are the ones who have the ability to share. They have the means to end hunger. to end homelessness, to turn around entire countries, entire sections of the population of the world. But they won't. So think on that. Pray on that. And I'll talk to you soon. Okay? Peace to all of you. And peace to your families. Bye-bye now.